Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight, the opposition says even Leslie Miller has lost confidence in the Christie administration. The Chamber of Commerce calls for a NHI implementation task force. We've got some holiday shopping and shipping tips for you. Plus, as always, we count down the top quotes in news this week. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to MB12. With 138 murders committed so far this year, Long Island Member of Parliament Loretta Butler Turner says Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller's recent comments that government doesn't have the guts to tackle crime is an indictment on his own party. Miller was speaking at the funeral of murdered Queens College teacher Joyelle McIntosh when he urged Bahamians to march on Parliament to force their representatives to deal with the country's worsening crime problem. Butler Turner suggests Miller was conveying not just his feelings of a lack of confidence in government, but also the public's.
So what Leslie Miller here is saying is that he's lost confidence in his own government. And I think he's finally catching up, not just with the Bahamian people at large, but with what I've been saying and what the opposition has been saying for over 2 years now, that this government is ill-prepared to govern. They have made numerous promises and none of them which they've been able to meet. I think that the sooner that people realize that this is not a government that has directions or a plan, then we can move on from there.
The F&M Shadow Minister of Social Services said it's clear the PLP has failed the public on delivering on its promises, particularly on crime.
The sad thing about this entire debacle with crime is the PLP politicized it. They said they had the answer, and now they have a bench of MPs that do not have the testicular fortitude to do what is necessary, and that is to come out forthright and say that they've lost confidence in the government of the Bahamas.
Butler Turner says she believes the public has already made up its mind on how it intends to deal with the government, and a march may not be necessary.
Let me use the example of Hurricane Joaquin. Clearly, when we had the response of the general public to Hurricane Joaquin and its after, very clearly, they had no confidence in the government. They stepped ahead and they were able to get things moving. I think that that is a very clear statement as to where people are today in terms of confidence in this government. This government, I will say, and I've said it numerous times before, is the most incompetent, inept, unprepared, ill-planned government we have ever had. In other words, it is the worst government.
In other news, Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation CEO Edison Sumner is accusing government of dropping the ball when it comes to being open and honest about national health insurance. In fact, Sumner says officials should have set up an NHI task force similar to what was done for value-added tax. Here's Jasmine Brown.
Sumner insists there's simply too little information circulating about NHI, but he says a task force could help. He added that a well-informed education task force would have helped tremendously.
I think that a similar approach to NHI is what should have happened, right? Not necessarily with the same people, but the same approach, right? In that, had we taken that approach, I think that a lot of the confusion that is currently around NHI's implementation could have been avoided.
He added that it's not too late to set up a special team tasked with educating the public on NHI.
I think that the government should still seek to engage a group of private sector individuals who understand NHI, for those who do understand it, to be able to help them get the message out. Because right now, I think what we're suffering from is a lack of information. Right? We don't know exactly what's going on. We're hoping to get more enlightened.
Sumner also recently urged the government to push back its planned January implementation of NHI, warning that the launch could flop, given a slew of unanswered questions surrounding the healthcare scheme. The Christie administration intends to implement the first phase of NHI on January 1st. This phase will focus primarily on client registration, though the exact details of the first phase and the wider four-phase NHI rollout remain unclear. The government has also yet to specify how much NHI will cost per annum or how it will pay for the service, giving rise to lasting doubts among the national healthcare stakeholders and the wider private sector. With less than 30 days until NHI's rollout, Sumner said that the BCCEC is still in no position to advise its members on NHI's potential effects on the country's employers.
We have had some meetings with the government. We've had some meetings with government representatives. We've had some meetings with the consultant, but the information that we have is still incomplete. There are questions that we had that have not been answered. There's some fundamental details that we need to know that have not been crystallized. We've been hearing a lot of the 20-foot details, but we have not been getting the on-the-ground details of exactly how some things are intended to work. So we are operating from a place of lack of full information, and because of that, we are unable to make informed decisions. We're unable to advise our members and the business community properly.
Meantime, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis said this week that there will be no NHI delay. He also insisted it's still too early to determine a cost for NHI. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, with just about 3 weeks until NHI is implemented and what seems to be mounting public confusion, NB12 took to the streets to find out from you, average Bahamians, just how much you understand about NHI, its costs and benefits. While many we spoke to agreed some form of universal health care is necessary, they said there are more questions than answers, and perhaps now is not the best time to move on a new regime.
I think the people need more information, and I don't believe that the Bahamas at this time is ready actually to implement that national health thing. It's a good thing, but I believe it's the wrong time.
Not right now. You see how things are tough? No, ain't nothing happening out here now. And I see the government bringing no job here, no investors. So what's up with that? They ain't bringing no investors here. I'm very disappointed in them.
So you have a lot more questions than answers when it comes to this whole NHI thing.
Yes, they have to come to the public and tell us what is what, so we can understand. Oh my.
They're not saying how much is this tax going to be. It is still not clear, so why are they rushing it? You know, nothing has been put on the plate. People has not got together and talk about it openly. And I think that is what should have been done or should be done before it be passed in January.
There were some, however, who have faith that government will sort out the confusion in the coming weeks.
The information the government has passed out so far, I do understand a bit of it, but I think the national insurance, the health plan is a good idea for Bahamians who cannot afford it. The country may be suffering some tough, difficult economic times, but I think it's a good plan for the country, and we'll see it in the future.
It's like anything else. You need information to survive. I can't have something deducted from my pay if I don't know where it's going and how it's going to benefit me. So I think once we get more information, then people will go along with it.
Well, last month, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis said the Bahamas Electricity Corporation will require a capital investment of at least $450 million over the next 5 years to resolve its current issues. Well, former Minister of State for the Environment, Fenton Nemore, happens to agree, saying it will indeed take hundreds of millions of dollars off. But he quickly added that it needs to be made more clear how that money will be spent.
Well, I know it's hundreds of millions of dollars. The exact figure, BEC will have challenges at this particular time quantifying that.
Davis noted that as a result of its precarious financial position, BEC is unable to borrow money without further government guarantees to carry out the necessary capital improvements and maintenance overhauls. He also maintained that government expects Power Secure, the company contracted to manage BEC, to turn that situation around. But Nemore insists whoever is tasked with reforming BEC should spend the money wisely and be held accountable if it's not.
That figure, how it is used, is very important, and in what areas it's used at. I think that we have to concentrate